Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode, I think, 12 or 11. I lose track at this point, of Bloomington Buddies. Today, of course, we have Best in the Business, Bruce Jackson.
How's it going?
The third guest in the history of Bloomington Buddies, standing at 5'11", 178 pounds for West Lafayette, Indiana, Jonathan Lamas.
So, thank
Johnny,
you for having me, QuincyBellSports.com.
How do you feel about being in the booth for the first time?
It's kind of crazy.
You gotta do 2 weeks worth of picks.
I think I'm good for it.
I hope you did your research. You have 2 weeks.
I'm a gambler.
You have 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks. Okay, so on the docket today, we're going to be doing a little college basketball talk, and then we have to do 2 weeks worth of picks because no one is going to be here next Wednesday because everyone's going to be home for break. So, but that's the most important week of college football. You can't just skip rivalry week. It's the whole reason you play the games. So we're going to be doing 2 weeks worth of picks. 3 people, 52 games. That's 156 total picks for the people that are counting at home.
That are not math majors. Quincy
for the people that are not math majors like me. So let's talk a little bit about college basketball. Do we dare talk about IU?
Yeah. Well, I think they're playing pretty similar to last year, you know? They started off the year with, no heart.
Not this bad. Not
that bad, but...
They looked like absolute dog shit against Army. I gave them the Florida Gulf Coast game. I'm like, all right, game 1, Florida Gulf Coast is pretty decent. I gave them that. They looked awful, straight up awful in this game against Army. Army is a bottom 50 team in college basketball. Bottom 50 team. And this game was tied with 3 minutes to go. I mean, just unacceptable. I don't even want to get into who did well, who did bad. I mean, I don't think anyone played a good game. No one played good defensively. Army just kept swinging the ball, getting wide open threes. Mackenzie Ibaka, once again, dude's on a milk carton. You can't find him. He only played 16 minutes and took 2 shots. They played awful. They were lucky to win that game with how badly they played. They play Wright State tomorrow. I don't even know if I'm going to go or not. We'll see. And then they play UConn. I mean, how are they beating UConn? They're not.
I mean, it's a tough matchup, obviously. You know, it's going to be undoubtedly the hardest game of the season for them. You know, just with the way that they've been playing so far, I don't see them coming out on top with this win at all. I know it's a neutral site game. So
it's in Madison Square Gardens, so it's basically a UConn home game.
Yeah, so I mean, basically going on the road for this game, you know, it's not going to be pretty for them. I mean, the entire time with the Army game, I mean, it was just like, okay, it's time to start pulling away now, boys. Are we going to pull away? And then it was just like, it just never happened. You know, nobody really popped off that game. Nobody ever really stepped up. I mean, Khalil Ware had 20 points that game. He was fantastic. Xavier Johnson had 19. So, I mean, they were doing their part, but everybody else, I mean, Trey Galloway going from leading the team in points last game to only 5 points in the game total. Yeah. I mean, it's not looking good. It's rough. Like, we're still in the growing pains part of the season right now with this team, just trying to find their chemistry and everything. So it's gonna be rough if we can't find it in the next few days before UConn.
The 3-point defense in particular was just bad. They were just throwing the ball around the 3-point line. They were getting an open 3 like damn near every time. I mean, I don't know. Like, Army made 13 threes that game. They had one guy go 4 of 8. Like, they were cooking.
What was his name? Ryan Curry, I think?
He was talking a lot of shit during this game, and, as he should. Like, IU just played awful. The thing is people were like, oh, you got to run the 3-guard lineup more. You gotta run Galloway, Cups, and X on the same lineup more. They don't have the guard depth to do that all the time. They just don't. Because their next best guard is CJ Gunn, who I've been very disappointed in. Like, when he doesn't play a lot, but like when he gets on the court, he doesn't know what he's doing. He takes the worst shots, like, ever. He just wants to run up and take a mid-range, and he never makes them. He had Yeah, he had no points in 10 minutes in this game. That's your next best guard besides those three. Other than that, like, no one else is even really getting playing time. Like, you going to give Anthony Leal significant minutes? You can't do that. They don't have the guard depth to run those three the whole game. They just don't. They got to play Mbako at the 4. I want to see so badly them run the 3-guard lineup with Mbako at the 4 and Ware at the 5. Because, like, Renew and Ware, like, they're good. It's like they're just not good enough, like, together to run with those 3 guards. I think that should be they should experiment with that as their starting lineup again in this next game. I want to see something different than Johnson, Galloway, Ware, and like, I need to see something different lineup-wise because they can't connect on offense. It's like it looks like they're drawing the play up as they get to the half court, like, every time. They get to half court and they have no idea what to do. That is what it looks like on offense. It's terrible.
Thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm more of a football guy, so I can't yap like Quincy. But yeah, they suck. I think UConn is going to be a harder test than Kansas, because at least for Kansas, we have home field. But with how UConn's been playing, I think we're going to get destroyed if we play the same as we played against Army.
Yeah, it's not going to be a pretty sight at all. Like, I'm not holding out too much hope at all for the UConn game. I mean, I think we could definitely still get one more win with Wright State and everything. Like, Wright State is our final chance to, like, get a spark going and, like, actually start blending well together as a team. Like, if we can just absolutely dominate this game, if it just ends at a final score of, like, 90-60 or something, 90-70, like, that gives you more confidence going into this next game. But I mean, still, even then, it's like, well, who have we really played going up against UConn, So it's like,
for the people that are wondering, Wright State is 0-2. They gave up 105 points their first game to Colorado State. I need at minimum 80 for my sanity. For my sanity, I need 80 points. I need 80 points, and they can't score more than 60. They can't score more than 60.
Like, the whole attitude going into the Army game was really just like, okay, yeah, we're going to win, but I just hope that we can blow these guys out and not have to worry about them like it was the first game,
Like, that game, I thought they were going to lose. When they tied it with 3 minutes left, I'm like, they're going to lose.
With how close it was getting there at the end, I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, shit, this isn't going to be good. We're losing this thing.
My buddy gave me his ticket, like, last minute, and I didn't have anyone to go with. I went to the last row, far corner, and just called my grandma, like, the whole game. And one of my other friends. I just was on FaceTime with them, like, the whole game. And I'm like, oh, my God, they're about to lose. Embarrassing. What else? Other in the world. Now, to be fair, what I've heard a lot of people say is that there are some teams that are actually losing to not so great opponents. At least IU was able to get some wins. Let's talk about some teams that have been getting just upset. Michigan State. I know we already talked about them losing to James Madison. They did lose to Duke yesterday, so they now have a losing record. Sorry, Michigan State. They're just not that great. Like, they put up a good fight against Duke, but Duke was just better. I mean, Michigan State scored 20 in the first half, and then 45 in the second half. You got to play 2 halves to beat Duke. You just got to play 2 halves. Who else lost?
Villanova.
Villanova lost to UPenn. They lost to an Ivy League team. That was embarrassing. Do better, Villanova. Sorry, that's all I really have is just do better.
Well, you know who did play good past few games?
Who?
Purdue.
Okay, so for people that don't know, if Jackson being a Michigan fan was already bad enough for you, it damn near is for me. This guy, Jai's from West Lafayette, literally is a Purdue fan still.
As he wears the Indiana shirt.
As I wear the Indiana wrestling. Well, I mean, if you grow up 18 years, go to all the basketball games, go to all the football games, it's pretty hard to just stop.
I think he's got a pretty good excuse. I mean, growing up in Lafayette, so, I mean, you're kind of supposed to be a Purdue fan if you grow up there.
You still are a
So really, you're in the wrong here, Quincy.
No. What's the craziest part is he applied for Purdue for, like, actual like hard shit. Like he's doing computer science. He didn't just apply to some stupid major. Like, you know what I'm talking about. And actually, it didn't get into Purdue. But he'll say we.
Waitlisted.
He'll say waitlisted. Sorry. He'll say we when talking about Purdue when they didn't let him in. I'm like, that's crazy to say we.
Well, I
it's
mean,
more-
that's the same thing happened for me with Michigan.
Oh, you didn't get into
I
Michigan?
applied to Michigan. I didn't get in.
No.
I got a callback for their musical theater program, and I went audition, but they didn't let me in.
Okay, well.
Yeah, and you also got. I mean, everyone here has got a little complex. Like Quincy's got his Texas complex.
Fuck Texas. Texas didn't let me in. Fuck them. No, I don't like Texas. All right. You know what? That's
You
enough.
applied, didn't you?
I applied. I didn't get in. That doesn't mean I'm gonna root. I was a Texas fan for 2 months.
I've been a Michigan fan my entire life. That's what I've told everyone. Everyone that knows that I go to IU, but when they learn I'm a Michigan fan, I'm just like, I've been cheering for Michigan far longer than I've ever even thought about going to IU.
Yeah. Well, what was I gonna say? I was a Texas fan for like 2 months. December and January of my senior year, because I thought I was gonna get in there. I really thought I was. My stats were like right what they wanted, and they were just like. But then I found out one day that they only accept like 6% of out-of-state applicants, and I'm like, oh, never mind then. Like this is not gonna happen. All right, that's enough basketball. We can talk about football now. So we had a lengthy discussion yesterday about just playoff scenarios, and I feel like this is the perfect time. I need to switch to football. I forgot my mouse at my house, and I hate using this damn trackpad. It's so annoying. I've gone to using the touchscreen on my laptop, which is very nice. Give me your rankings. Okay. The playoff rankings were updated yesterday. The only really big change is that Georgia hopped Ohio State for number 1, which I think is fair because they absolutely ran the floor out of Ole Miss.
I'm honestly shocked that the committee decided this just because.
If you watched that Georgia Ole Miss game, that's the best team in football right now.
But if you see how, what stats they used to put Ohio State at number 1 last week, nothing changed. Like, all the stats are still the same. So it's still kind of weird that they flip-flopped them, even though Georgia had a good win. It's just the committee's inconsistency, like they always do. Oh, these are the reasons Ohio State's number 1 this week. It's still true this week, but we're going to change it. They just can't keep it consistent.
Honestly, the biggest issue I have with this poll, no James Madison. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
It's whatever.
They're 18. They're 18 in the AP poll.
It's gonna suck because, as it is now, they're not gonna get a New Year's Six bowl.
They sent a letter to like the president of the NCAA to revoke their bowl waiting period. All right, so the rankings are as follows: Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, Florida State 4, Washington 5, Oregon 6, Texas 7, Alabama 8, Missouri 9, Louisville 10. And those are the only teams that really have a chance to make the playoff besides Missouri. Those are the only teams with a shot. And it's coming down to the absolute wire. I saw a thing that said, hold on, I sent it to Jackson. I got to find it.
Yeah, it was like Joel Klatt's hypothetical scenario where it was like Alabama is the SEC champion, Georgia loses the SEC title, but they still only lose 1 game. It was a long list of things.
It was undefeated Big Ten champ. The winner of the Michigan-Ohio State games could absolutely destroy Iowa in the Big Ten title. And then undefeated Florida State. So those are your first 2 spots. And then it said Bama beats Georgia in the SEC title. So Bama's 12-1, Georgia's 12-1. Texas finishes 12-1. And then Oregon beats Washington for the Pac-12 title. So Oregon and Washington are both 12-1. And you have the Ohio State-Michigan loser, who is 11-1. And it says you have 2 spots for 6 teams. And who do you put in? It's going to be so crazy. There's honestly, I think, one team that really revolves around who gets in or not. It's Alabama.
Oh yeah, like that's undoubtedly the case with this because they've lost, they have to wait and see like who else is going to lose at this point if they even want a shot at getting in.
Because here's the thing. if Bama wins the SEC with one loss, there's no shot they leave them out. I don't care who else is ranked. They're not leaving them out. They just won't.
Yeah.
But
Too much of a moneymaker at that point, right?
The thing is, though, if you put in Bama with one loss, you have to put in Texas. You have no choice
Oh, yeah.
but to put in Texas because Texas beat Bama. So if Bama wins the SEC,
So really, in that
Texas is getting it.
Yeah, so in that scenario, then like Oregon gets screwed. Then
Pretty much.
I think if Washington loses the Pac-12 to Oregon, neither team's going to get in. I think it's just going to be classic big Pac-12 cannibalizing itself.
So here's another thing that was funny. So remember the one year where Georgia was undefeated and Bama had one loss, and then Bama beat Georgia in the SEC title? Every day, Johnny tells me that game was rigged so the SEC could get two teams.
I so believe that's true. That they purposely threw the SEC championship to put two SEC teams in the college football playoff. It won't work this year, but that year it definitely worked.
Yeah, if Georgia is not safe at number one. They have to beat Bama because there's just way too many teams behind them. I also thought it was interesting that they could put Florida State ahead of Washington. Mm-hmm. Florida State, I think they're about to lose one of these next upcoming. Either they're going to lose or they're going to make the playoff and get absolutely shelled. I don't think they're that good of a team. They played North Alabama this week, which, I mean, if you lose that, just disband your football program. And then they're at Florida for rivalry week, and then they're going to probably have to play Louisville. Yeah, they would have to play. Stop kicking my chair,
Bro.
Jesus. So then they're going to have to play Louisville, which I don't think Louisville's that great. But I'm telling you, I don't trust Florida State. I think Washington's a way better team than Florida State. And they put up the stats, and Washington had Florida State beat in like every stat. Yet they still had Washington at 5 and Florida State at 4.
Well, it's because they couldn't really take Florida State down. If they haven't done anything wrong, you can't just take them off a 4, which is Washington's the better team by far. If Florida State, instead of beating LSU week 1, beat them like later in the season, they would not be top 4.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go person by person, and we're going to say what we think is going to happen for like the rest of the playoff. Here's like I'll go first, and y'all will get the gist.
Okay.
I think Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC title. I just think they're better. They're just a lot better of a team than Bama. I think Georgia beats Bama. They finish undefeated. Obviously, your second spot is your Big Ten champ. I'm not going to say who I think is going to win, but second spot's going to be your Big Ten champ. Mm-hmm. I think Oregon will beat Washington in the Pac-12 title. I think Oregon beats Washington because they get the chance of because they get to play them again. And when you play the team again, the team that loses has a better chance to win.
Yeah.
So I think Oregon beats Washington in the Pac-12 title. Great game, but I think Oregon wins. I think Texas finishes with one loss. I think they're going to win the Big 12. I don't know about Florida State because here's the thing. If Florida State loses, they're done. A one-loss ACC champ in this economy, not happening. I don't know if they have it, man. I don't know. I'm going to go out and say that they lose. I think they lose one of these last two.
You think Florida State does?
I think they lose. I have no faith in them. I'm sorry. They just have struggled way too much throughout this year. So your playoff is Georgia 1, your Big Ten champ at 2, and then they put Oregon at 3, Texas at 4. But if Florida State wins and they go undefeated, then they're at 3, and you have a conversation of Oregon versus Texas, which I don't know who they put in that scenario. I mean, Oregon's ranked better now, so I'm inclined to say that they put Oregon in. So that's what I think. You're up.
All right. So I think Georgia beats Bama in the SEC championship. I think Georgia is the better team than Bama. I think the Big Ten champion is going to be Ohio State. They're going to beat Michigan in the Big House. Sorry. And then
we'll talk about that game.
Florida State remains undefeated. I think Washington is going to lose to either Oregon State or Wazoo. I think they lose one of those, beat Oregon, Pac-12's out of the college football playoffs, and Texas wins the Big 12 and gets the 4th spot in the playoffs. So it'll be Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, and
So who do you think is
Texas.
going to win between Oregon and Washington?
I said Washington wins.
You think Washington wins
Yeah.
again? Okay.
But since they lost to either Oregon State or Wazoo, they're out. That's what I think. I think they're bound to lose one of those.
So you got Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with you guys on Georgia beating Alabama for the SEC title. I do like. Had you asked me last week about who I would think is going to win that game, it would kind of be a coin flip just because it's like Alabama's making a comeback. You know, they're still a very gritty team and they're ready to win.
Gritty
You know,
team.
but yeah, just after watching Georgia just annihilate Ole Miss, it's like, yeah, there's no way. Like Georgia is just so much better, just such a better program, and so I think they're going to be number one going into it. Second is going to be winner of the Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, whoever it is. Third, I'm with you, Quincy. I think Texas finishes with only one loss. And then it really just comes down to between Oregon versus Washington, but also Florida State. I think Florida State is going to be able to come out on top. Like, I think they're going to be able to come out of the ACC undefeated. So I would probably put them 3. And then I think Oregon comes out on top of Washington as well. I mean, Washington has just had too many close calls throughout this season that it just is so... It's hard for me to stay confident with them. And I mean, granted, so is Florida State as well. But I think with the rest of their schedule and everything, I think Florida State could still pull it off, and I think they'll still get the win. So I have, Georgia 1, Big Ten game 2, 3 Florida State 4. Because really it would come down between Oregon and Texas then. So I would probably have to go with Oregon though. I think I'm gonna go with it.
I think it's interesting that they have Oregon ranked ahead of Texas now. Because I don't see a very good win. Okay, 35-6 at Utah is a great win. But like other than that, I would take Texas's winning at Alabama over that. I don't know. I guess they're saying that Texas has a worse loss because it was against Oklahoma as opposed to Washington. I don't know. All right. It's pick time. All right, so first we're going to do this upcoming week, which there's some good games, there's some mid-tier games. And then the last week of the season, for people that don't know, if you live under a rock, it's rivalry week, where every team, not every team, but most teams play their biggest rival at the end of the year. Seasons are won and lost. You could go 1-8 your whole year, but if that one win is against the team the last week, it can make your whole season worth it, winning that one game. I know IU's in that boat right now, which it's not a great boat to be in, but, once that game starts, you don't really care. All right, let's start with...
What were the results of last week?
Okay, I finished at 19-7. Jackson with a 22-4 showing, makes up 3 games, takes the lead by 1 game.
Hell
You had
yeah.
a very impressive week.
That's probably my best week I've had.
One of them. So you're at 199-67. I'm at 198-68.
So I'm up by 1, okay.
I should not have picked West Virginia that game. If you would have picked USC over Oregon. That was the one that you could have had.
Yeah.
I got like every 50-50 game wrong. There weren't very many hard games, but like BYU Iowa State screwed me. IU Illinois screwed me. Because I picked IU to beat Illinois and they lost and they're not going to make a bowl. I don't know. It's whatever. All right, so so currently, he wasn't on the show, but I did one of my picks with shout out JT Sports. I did one of my pick videos on my main channel. This is going to be on the main channel, by the way. I did one of my picks videos with him. He was one of the guest pickers. He went 21-5 in his week where he was the guest picker. So that is your mark to be the best.
21-5. Oh, okay, to be the best guest picker.
You have 2 weeks to do it, but these are some pretty hard weeks to predict games, I'm not going to lie. All right, first game for this week is Colorado at Washington State.
Washington State.
You're taking Washington State. I'm taking Washington State. They're at home, and Colorado is proving to be the frauds everyone thought they would be at the start of the year.
Yes, agree. Washington State.
I'm sorry. They're just not good, man. They're not a good team. Colorado, I'm talking about. They're just not a good team. Okay, I put a J next to all the Teams Jackson picks, but I need to have a different colored one for Johnny. I'll make it orange. Why not? Okay. Next, Michigan at Maryland. Michigan's favored by 10. That's not a lot of points, but it's still double digits. It's a road game. Does Maryland come out with some fight?
I don't believe so. Obviously, give me Michigan. I'm biased and everything, so I think they stay undefeated going into Ohio State week. So I'm gonna go with Michigan.
I agree. I just don't think they're gonna win. By the way, that Michigan Penn State game was the most boring game of football I have ever watched in my entire life.
Looks like you don't like real Big Ten football, Quincy.
Here's the thing. Here's what really pissed me off.
That was a gritty football game.
That was the epitome of grit. Here's the thing that pissed me off, though. Everyone was praising Michigan for the fact that they ran the ball 30 times in a row in the second half. They're such a great smash mouth football, but they could barely score. They could barely even move the ball. The only reason they were able to do that is because Penn State, Drew Aller, not that guy. Penn State couldn't move the ball. Penn State, by the way, that was some of the worst coaching I've ever seen from James Franklin. You're going to punt on 4th and 1 at the 50 in the first half, but you're going to go for it on 4th and 7 from your own 30 when Michigan hasn't scored in a quarter and a half. You're going to go for it on 4th and 7. That was the stupidest play calling ever. James Franklin's the new Harbaugh. Can't beat a good team. Because that's what everyone said about Harbaugh before he actually beat Ohio State. But, man, I saw a thing that's James Franklin could be the only coach ever to go 9-3 at Vandy, but only go 10-2 at Penn State. Come on, man. Do better. All right, next.
I had a lot of fun watching the game. I don't know if you knew that, but I had a lot of fun.
I know you did. I was just angry with the way Penn State. By the way, no Jim Harbaugh for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like we were kind of brushing this over. We spent an entire episode just talking about the controversy, but never anything about actual Harbaugh getting suspended.
So he hasn't been. We haven't filmed since he's been suspended. I don't think.
No, we haven't.
So yeah, no Harbaugh for the rest of the season. That's a Big Ten. That's what the Big Ten decides as a punishment. Yep. They should get a bowl ban. They won't get a bowl ban, but they should get a bowl ban.
Quincy.
Teams have gotten bowl bans for far less. Far less. They've gotten bowl bans. Don't. They that's just my opinion. They should get a bowl ban, but they won't.
You and every Michigan hater. All right. We can move on.
All right. Chattanooga at Bama. Just
yeah.
We're just gonna
the spread though.
What's the spread? Let's hear him out.
You want a spread? I'll get you a spread. Hold on. I gotta actually find this. Oh, they don't even have one yet on here. Probably 40 is what it'll be. Bama always plays a cupcake the week before they play Auburn.
If this tells you anything, on ESPN, the matchup predictor has them at 99% winning this game, and Chattanooga with a 1%.
I mean, yeah, they're not. I saw a thing. It was teams with Bama on their SEC shorts did one. It was how do you beat Bama? None of the teams know how to do it because they've been so hot lately. And one of them, Chattanooga's they're why are you here? They're hey, we're at the top of our conference or something like that. All right, this is I think an interesting game. Louisville technically still has hopes and dreams of a playoff because they do have the one loss, and they do still have a matchup probably against Florida State. But they got to go at Miami. And like I say every week, you want to be marked as a true contender, you can't lose to Miami. That's just my personal criteria.
I think Miami wins.
You think Miami wins?
I think Miami wins.
I'm going to take Louisville.
I'm going to take Louisville as well. Miami's 6-4, I think. Yeah. So, a decent, okay team, but just going up against Louisville, though, I don't think it's going to be enough.
All right. Rutgers at Penn State. I'm going to take Penn State. God, this stupid fucking trackpad.
Give me Penn State as well.
I would like to take Rutgers. I like their team this year, but I gotta take Penn State,
All right.
especially at home.
especially at Happy Valley.
Louisiana Monroe at Ole Miss. I just kind of there are some lackluster games this week. I just kind of had to fill, so I'm assuming we're going with Ole Miss. Louisiana Monroe did beat Nick Saban in his first year at Alabama, but not happening this year. All right, Oklahoma at BYU. I'm not taking BYU. They screwed me over last week. They couldn't even beat Iowa State.
I didn't even think you were gonna take BYU. So yeah, give me Oklahoma.
Yeah, BYU kind of blows in the Big 12.
Okay, yeah, then. Okay, hold on. All right, next we got Tulane at FAU. Tulane, Tulane's gonna get the New Year's Six Bowl by default because they're not gonna let James Madison in.
Tulane, I'm just so surprised with how low, quote unquote, that they're ranked because they only have one loss. But I mean,
And it's
granted,
to Ole Miss. It's not even like a bad loss.
I mean, granted, like the rest of their wins aren't anything special, But at the same time, it's like they're 10-1, so it's like I don't see why they shouldn't be ranked a little bit higher.
all right, so we're all taking Tulane.
Yeah.
All right, next, Michigan State at Indiana. Pride is on the line. Actually, the old brass spittoon's on the line in this game because every Big Ten game has a little trophy that's
There's
attached
going to be
to
like
it.
no students, so not really that big of an atmosphere.
Yeah, everyone's leaving for break.
Michigan State kind of been playing better, but
They're still.
I'm gonna take
God,
IU.
they went on a 6-game losing streak in the middle of the
I'm gonna
year.
take
Michigan
IU.
State did.
Yeah, good lord, 6-game losing streak.
Roll Hoosiers. Jackson, who do you like?
I
He's gonna take Michigan State because he just despises Tom Allen.
don't like either of these teams at all. I mean, hey Siri, flip
Yes.
a coin. All right, looks like I'm taking Tom Allen.
Roll Hoosiers.
All right, Hoosiers.
We gotta keep the spittoon. By the way, they gave everyone free tickets to this game.
Everyone free tickets.
Yeah, knowing no one was gonna go.
yeah.
Everyone on the IU story is trying to sell their tickets, and everyone's like, and one guy was like, "Bruh, they gave everyone free tickets." Like,
Why would I buy one?
like shut the fuck up. All right, Purdue at Northwestern. Northwestern actually not been that bad this year. I thought they'd be the worst team in college football.
They were the worst team in college football last year.
They were the
right?
worst team in college football last year. Lost their coach, who is like their only good coach ever.
Literally, they have alternated every single week so far.
But they're 5-5. If they win one of these last two games, they're going to a bowl.
Yeah. They're up against Purdue.
Purdue, worst team in the. I don't
Not
know
very
if they're
good.
the worst team in the Big Ten. I
Not
guess that'll
great.
be found out
Not great.
last week, but I'm going to take Northwestern at home.
Yeah, I think I'll take Northwestern with this one. Why not?
Nah, they played too good against Minnesota. I think they can beat Northwestern.
Purdue?
Yep.
Didn't they like absolutely beat the hell out of Northwestern? Not Northwestern, Minnesota. Something
Yeah.
like that.
49-30.
Yeah. All right. Game day is going to be at this next game, and I'm kind of excited for it because I think it's a great decision to have game day go here. App State at James Madison. Whole world's going to be watching them. And they're going to pull through with a huge win. This James Madison team is not to be taken lightly.
You think James Madison's going to win or App
Yes,
State?
James
Oh,
Madison's
okay.
going to win.
I thought you were going to say App State was going to win. I was like, I mean, they're all right this year. I think, well, I mean, App State is, they're the upset school, So,
Not today. Not this game.
yeah, I
James
think I'll go.
Madison's favored by 9.
Yeah,
App
I
State's
think I'll
6-4 for the people that are wondering.
I'll go with James Madison. I think they keep their streak going. So
Johnny.
It's going to be close, but I think James Madison's going to win.
All right, Utah at Arizona, 2 ranked.
have you and I disagreed on any games so far? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Utah at Arizona. You just want to keep your lead.
I genuinely have not even been thinking about that. Like
No,
genuinely. Utah at App State. You said?
No, Utah
Or
at
geez, not
Arizona.
Arizona.
Utah and Arizona, 2 ranked middle of the road.
Okay.
Pac-12 teams.
This is a good one. This will be a good one.
Arizona's favored by 1 last I saw.
I got Utah. I'm liking how they're playing. Even though they took some hard losses, I think
They were right in that game with Washington.
they were in it until the
I'm gonna
last
have
few
to
minutes.
agree.
God.
I'm also gonna take. You wanted to differ.
Yeah, I thought this would be one that we differ on, but I guess not. Yeah, give me Utah.
You're taking Utah.
Yeah, I'll take Utah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like all of us picking the not favored team on the road could end badly, but I just think Utah's better overall. All right, North Carolina at Clemson. Kind of an interesting game. I really don't know.
I'll take UNC.
You're taking UNC?
I'm taking UNC.
You know what? Jackson, do you have a spread? Do you have it pulled up?
I don't have a spread on this game. No, let me.
I don't really care
Okay.
what the spread is. I'm liking my chances with Clemson. I think my chances are high if I take. I think that's a great spot for me to make up a game if Jackson goes with the UNC.
All right, I'll go different. I'll go UNC. I'll go with the ranked opponent.
The ranked. I'll go with the ranked team.
I was. Okay.
I'm messing with you.
All right.
All right. These next 2 games, big rivalry games. These games really should be played last week of the season because last week of the season's rivalry week. But these next 2 games, these 2 teams do not like each other at all. First one is UCLA at USC.
God, this is gonna be.
USC's at home, even though it doesn't really matter because they're in the same location anyway. I like USC a little bit more than UCLA.
Really?
They're just kind of I don't know. They're at home and they have the better quarterback. I think USC wins.
I got USC.
I think I'm gonna go with UCLA for this one. Well,
Defend. Reasoning. Defend.
God. I mean, yeah, they do have a better quarterback. I mean, God. This is just such a mid team.
USC, you're talking about? Or
Both
UC
teams.
both of them?
Both teams. I mean, no, I'm gonna go back over. I'm sorry.
You're gonna take USC?
I thought about it because I took USC last week and they kind of screwed me over. So I was like, well,
right.
let's go with someone else.
All
but
right,
no,
Quincy.
no.
Let's do some rapid fire. I got to leave in 5 minutes.
Bro, 5 minutes. We got a whole other
I
week of
know.
games. All right.
Let's finish this week at least.
Okay. Baylor at TCU.
Baylor.
Our typical 50-50
TCU sucks.
Baylor game. I don't know.
Well, Baylor does too. But
I'm gonna-
Every week there's a Baylor game and we don't know who to pick because they're always 50-50.
I'm gonna go with TCU.
I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to take TCU because they're at home. All right. Minnesota at Ohio State. I'm sure we're all taking.
Yeah, no issues there.
God damn it. I hate this trackpad. Holy shit. Okay. Arizona State at Oregon. I'm assuming we're all taking Oregon.
Yeah.
Or actually it's Oregon at Arizona State, but Oklahoma State at Houston. Oklahoma State, by the way, had the biggest hangover game in the history of hangover games. Yeah. There are games when you go out and you lose to a subpar opponent after a big win. They had possibly their biggest win in school history. They beat Oklahoma. Possibly the last game they'll ever play Oklahoma. Knocked Oklahoma out of the playoff. Biggest win. They tore down the goalposts. They did everything. Huge win. Program-defining win. And they lost 45-3 to UCF the next week. That is the biggest hangover game I've ever seen in my entire life. So they're at Houston now. So what do we like?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna stay with Oklahoma State.
Yeah, same here.
Oklahoma State's been very good to me when I've picked them, so I'm going to keep it that way. I'm going to take Oklahoma State. Cal Stanford, another rivalry game that should be played the last week. The big game is what it's called.
Stanford's such a bad football team.
So's Cal, though. What's Cal's record?
What is Cal's record? They are 4-7.
I guess I'll take that.
Or no, 4-6. 4-6.
I'll take Cal.
Give me Stanford.
I'll do. God, no, I'm gonna go with Cal.
Do we want to differ to make it no? Not differ to make it.
I need to be conservative now.
God damn it. All right, another
It
big.
could go either way. They're both really bad teams.
Another really big game. That's a huge rivalry. Kansas State at Kansas. Kansas State, I think, has beaten Kansas in the last 10 years.
Kansas State hasn't beaten Kansas.
Kansas State has won the last
won.
won the last 10 games or something. Does Kansas snap the streak? Because it's been a while since they've beaten Kansas State in football.
I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, I think they do. I think Kansas is gonna run away with it.
I agree. I'm taking Kansas.
God damn it!
I don't think so. I think Kansas hasn't been playing good enough lately.
You're
to beat
taking Kansas State. Nah, I like Kansas. I think they'll win this at home. Florida at Missouri. Florida's in danger of missing out on a bowl if they don't get their act together here. I'm going to take Missouri.
Yeah, give me Missouri. I mean, number 9
They
team.
took my
in the country.
poor Vols behind the woodshed and just beat them up and down. You taking Missouri?
Yeah.
Okay. Nebraska at Wisconsin. My goodness. Who cares about this game?
God, again, another battle of the mid.
I'll take Wisconsin.
I'll take Nebraska.
Oh, let's be different. I'll be Nebraska.
Ooh, I like my chances there. I like my chances to gain a game there.
We've different in 2 games so far, I think.
Wait, Jackson, you picked Nebraska too? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Texas.
I mean,
at
Wisconsin
Iowa.
lost to
Yeah, to
Ohio
IU.
State,
They lost to IU.
Indiana, and Northwestern. So
Yeah, they're at home. They'll get it done. Texas at Iowa State. I will say this. Iowa State has beaten better teams at home with more on the line.
Iowa State's not too bad this year, right?
No, this is I think Texas's hardest game left probably. I'm not even kidding.
6-4 this year
Because
so
I think
far.
they'll
Iowa
beat
State.
I think whoever they come across in the Big 12 title. This is a road game that I think they're scared about.
I'm
Not
going
even that Iowa State's that good. It's just they have that reputation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with Texas still, but I mean,
So am I. But
yeah.
Texas.
Syracuse at Georgia Tech. Who cares, bro? I had to scratch for good games this week.
Oh Lord,
That's Syracuse. They're all right.
they just went on like a 6-game losing streak though.
Didn't they beat Purdue?
Yeah, I was
badly?
at that game.
I'm gonna take Georgia Tech.
I think I'm gonna go with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech.
Okay, 2 featured games, the 2 biggest games. First one is still a big game, but it was supposed to be the game. It was supposed to be the game of the year. I'm very disappointed that it's lost its luster, but Georgia, number 1 Georgia, will have to go at Tennessee in the Neyland Stadium. Now, Georgia's already secured the East, and honestly, Georgia can probably afford to lose this game because if they beat Bama in the SEC title, they'll still get in, even if they lose this game.
I don't think so.
I mean, they're not just gonna throw in the towel.
They're
with this
not
kind of
going
a game.
They're not going to, but this is still a huge game for Tennessee because it's been a while since they've beaten a number 1 ranked team.
Yeah.
I'll let you 2 pick first.
Go ahead.
I think Tennessee is going to take a slide after that Mizzou loss. I got Georgia just smacking them around.
Jackson.
I've got Georgia still taking it. I don't think they're, like I said, I don't think they're going to throw in the towel or anything like that. Like I said, last week they've proven that they're the best team in the country. So, I mean, it's going to be really hard for Tennessee, even if they're at home. So, I'm going to go with Georgia. I think it'll be a good game, but I think the dogs are going to.
I really want
this
to ride.
one.
I really want to let it ride. If I was up by more, if I was up by like 5 games,
You would take
I would let it
Tennessee.
ride. I'm down by a game. I cannot let Tennessee cost me. They cost me last week because I picked them and Jackson picked Missouri. I think Georgia's gonna win. I can't pick against them. They're the number 1 ranked team. And then lastly, before Johnny leaves, I forgot that you had to leave early. Sorry about that. Washington at Oregon State. Now, the implications for this game are if Oregon State wins, then they will play Oregon the next week, and that will be a game to go to the Pac-12 title. Because they would both be they would it'd be if Oregon State beat them, they would have the tiebreaker. And also, Washington can't really afford to be losing too many games. And they got to go on the road. It's number 5 versus number 11. Oregon State, last I checked, was 2.5-point favorites at home. Who do we like here?
God. Go ahead.
Well, Oregon State has the reputation of playing spoiler for potential college football Pac-12 teams. So I think they will be the spoiler again and ruin Washington's chance to go to the college football playoffs.
You got Oregon State?
I think I might agree with you. I'm not 100% sure yet, but yeah, like I said, Washington has just had too many close games for comfort. But I mean, recently they've been taking care of business pretty well, kinda. Won by a touchdown against Utah, won by 10 against USC. So I mean, I think I'm gonna go with Washington still. I think I'm gonna go with them.
I'm telling you right now, I really like Oregon State's chances to win this game. I really like their chances. It's
Oregon State kind of screwed me on a game.
last game at home, senior day, top 5 team coming to town. Their swan song in the Pac-12. I think it lines up too perfectly for Oregon State. I saw something where it's like if like 8 different things happen, they could make the playoff or something.
Oregon State.
Even though it's not going to happen. I wish Oregon State had one loss still because I think they're a really good team. This is a damn good team. This is a team that finished near the top 10, like in the teens last year. Had everyone back. They add the ukulele. I mean, I like Oregon State. I really do. I think they win this game. Not even because Washington State's that bad. It's just I think this is Washington State's hardest game. Or not Washington State.
Yeah, you kept saying Washington State. I'm like, it's just Washington, right?
I think this is Washington's hardest game left. Because they still got to play Oregon. But, you know, they played Oregon already. They know they can beat Oregon. This is going to be a tough game on the road in Core Vegas. Give me the Beavers. I think they win. All right, you got to go?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Quincy and
Jackson.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Put it down. Purdue's beating IU next week.
One more pick for him.
That won't count for your week, but we'll see. I got all the picks. You differed like a lot with me. Johnny did at least. All right, take care.
Have a good one.
I forgot he had to leave early. All right. Now, it's time for Rivalry Week. If you're watching this on the main channel, this was filmed November 15th. So we had to film this 2 weeks in advance if you're watching this on the main channel.
Yep.
So we
don't know the outcome of week 12 yet.
So some of the information you might be hearing might not be the current most up-to-date information, but Rivalry Week.
I'm proud of you for instilling good journalistic integrity there, man. I know you're not a journalism student, but as a journalism student, I'm proud.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I keep cutting to the wrong camera.
I took a Foundations of Journalism class last semester.
Yeah.
That class.
I took that class.
The professor was incredibly boring. I'm sorry. I wanted to like fall asleep during that class multiple times. He did have one woman come in. I forgot her name, but she had like reported on like wars in Iraq, and she had some like great stories. That was like the best. That was like top 5 lecture I've had at IU so far. But the rest of the lectures just made me want to fall asleep. Okay, time for Rivalry Week. You know, the premise of Rivalry Week is obviously there are college football playoff implications on the line. There are teams that need wins to keep their actual seasons alive in terms of playoff hopes. But there's also teams in games where if you beat this opponent, it makes your season. And you don't care about all the other games that you lost throughout the year. Like there are plenty of games here where beating this team makes or breaks your season. So all these games pretty much are very important. Now, not every team plays their biggest rival on Rivalry Week, but there are a lot of teams that do. First game, Thanksgiving Day. Ole Miss at Mississippi State. This is a huge rivalry. These two hate each other. I don't even think hate's a strong enough word. That's how much they despise each other.
Mississippi State 4-6. I mean, they've got the home field advantage, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Give me Ole Miss for this one.
I agree. I wish I could know how many games I need to make up, possibly. but because we don't know that since we just picked the previous week, or you know what I'm talking about. Iowa at Nebraska. I'm pretty sure Iowa's going to have the Big 12, the Big 10 West wrapped up with a neat little bow on top by the time this game's done. They're better than Nebraska. They'll win this game like 9-7.
Iowa, yeah.
Because they don't have an offense. All right, UTSA at Tulane. Does Tulane secure their New Year's Six bid for the second year in a row? Yep, I think they're better this year. I think they're better this year than they were last year.
I think they do. Give me Tulane. They got the home field game. I mean, UTSA. What are they? 7-3?
Not bad.
Not bad. But yeah, a lot of their games are just, against, lower level teams and everything. So yeah, give me Tulane.
All right, Missouri at Arkansas. That little boot that I think it's called. I think they play for like a boot trophy with like the two states.
So, yeah.
No, I think that's Arkansas LSU.
Is it?
Maybe, I don't know.
What's Arkansas like? Not good. Give me Mizzou. Give me Mizzou for this one. I mean,
I like Arkansas. What's Arkansas's overall record right now?
Arkansas has like 3 wins.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna take Missouri. I was like, this feels like a good chance to take an upset because it's a home rivalry game. But
3-7. So
I dropped my damn keys again, and I gotta pick them up now because I'm gonna forget that they're down there if I leave them there. This is not the first time this has happened.
We'll be right back after these short messages. Listen to all of our shows here at IUSTV. We got a lot of good stuff, and we're back.
Yeah, do that. All right, Texas Tech at Texas.
Give me Texas. Texas Tech, I mean,
they did beat Kansas the past week, but
yeah, they're just kind of a middle of the road team, but Texas has the home field advantage, so give me that one.
I agree. All right, Michigan State is at home against Penn State. I mean, Penn State knows how to beat up on the little Big Ten teams.
Yeah, Michigan State.
Is kind of, it's just embarrassing that we have to call Michigan State that.
Yeah. I mean, especially with years past when they've been, really good team. They've had really good teams before, so I mean, But, yeah, not good this year.
All right. Alabama at Auburn. You can never count out Auburn at home.
Especially against Alabama.
Especially against Bama. It doesn't matter what these teams are ranked. You know it's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good game. But I think Bama is just going to be the superior team this year. I think it'll. I don't know if it'll be too close. So give me Bama.
I agree. Auburn's just they're just Auburn. Like they're just not that great this year. All right, this is I think a really interesting game. Kentucky at Louisville. So Louisville is sitting with the 1 loss, which is a bad loss at Pitt. And they've struggled with a lot of other teams. Struggled with IU. Really should have lost to IU. But they're still sitting there with the 1 loss. So at least as of now, we don't know if they beat Miami or not.
I'm gonna go. I gotta go with Louisville. I mean, Kentucky kind of just fell off the table after the Georgia loss and everything. So I mean, lost to Mizzou, lost to Tennessee. I mean, had a little bit of hope with Mississippi State, but then after that, right back at it with losing to Bama and everything. So I'm gonna go with Louisville.
So my dad went to Louisville, so I kind of grew up liking Louisville. I was like the biggest Lamar Jackson fan. That's why I love Lamar Jackson. I told everyone he'd be great. But I specifically remember a top 10 Louisville team with a playoff spot on the line losing at home to a subpar Kentucky team. I think that the same thing is going to happen. I think that Kentucky, if you ask me who the better team is, like on paper, I don't even know if I would say Louisville. Like, this team has been barely skating by. I think Kentucky's going to beat them. My dad's going to hate that, but I think Kentucky wins. All right, next one. Arizona at Arizona State. Another one of those games where could make Arizona State's season if they beat their ranked rival.
It could, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, give me Arizona for this one. I mean, it's just Arizona State
What's their record right now?
I think they got like 2 wins or something.
They almost beat Washington on the road, but
yeah, they got 2 wins.
That's like all they got going for them.
They won against Washington State.
That's something, but
They just beat
I don't
UCLA
think-
last week.
Arizona State did?
Yeah. 17-7.
Let it ride. Go Sun Devils. I'm taking the upset.
All right.
I'm taking the upset. I like that. I like that there. All right.
Thanks for the win.
UNC, stop saying that because every time he says that, they always win. Every time he says that, they always win. All right, UNC at NC State. I'm taking NC. Not NC. I'm taking UNC.
Yeah, give me UNC for this one.
I don't think that's too hard.
I mean, that's not to harp on NC State. They're pretty good this year, but I mean,
Colorado at Utah.
I mean, gotta go with Utah, right?
Utah big. That's all I'm even gonna say is Utah big. Who else now? All right, Virginia Tech at Virginia. Two just putridly bad teams that get to play.
Virginia's so bad. 2 wins, and then Virginia Tech. I mean, yeah, I guess Virginia Tech. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia does have a win over number 10 UNC, but that's like the one of 2 wins they have altogether. So I'm going to take Virginia Tech and agree. We got our 50-50 Baylor game.
Oh yeah.
West Virginia at Baylor.
Every team.
Like,
is just
who's
like,
winning that? I have no
Every
idea.
team is just what the. I don't know.
I hate Baylor. Like,
God.
they're just. I'm beginning to get a very strong dislike for Baylor.
I think I'm gonna take West Virginia probably.
They're 3-7. I can't. Like,
Baylor's 3-7.
Baylor's 3. I didn't realize they were this bad. Like, I knew they weren't very good. They've lost 3 in a row to Iowa State, Houston, and Kansas State. They gave up 59 to Kansas State. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, just because I'm gonna take away the possibility for Jackson to gain a game here, and I'm just gonna take West Virginia.
You wanted to be different.
I wanted to. Baylor's just screwed me so many times this year. IU at Purdue. I'm gonna be at this game. Probably.
You're going to it?
I'm going to be at this game. And I'm throwing a massive tailgate.
Nice.
And we're going to have a blast at
Nice.
this game. Win or lose. Now, as for who's going to win or lose, I mean, I know Jackson's going to want to pick Purdue just because he's...
Well, no, both teams are really bad, though.
They're bad. Purdue,
I don't know.
Purdue does have the home field. I mean, this is the epitome of winning this game makes or breaks your season.
I'll let you pick, and I'll do the opposite,
Jesus.
just to make the game even more interesting.
Roll Hoosiers. Tom Allen's going to keep his job because of this game. They're going to win, and they're going to be like, oh, you beat Purdue.
Oh wow, yeah.
You can stay another year.
All right, then give me Purdue, I guess.
Roll Hoosiers. They're winning this game.
Boiler up, I guess.
I'm going to the game. They better win. All right, Texas A&M at LSU. Texas A&M, by the way, fired Jimbo Fisher.
Yep.
Bought him out. They were done with him. What are your thoughts on that?
So here are my thoughts. My uncle texted a group chat with my brothers and my dad and I, and he said Jim's gone.
Oh, and you thought that...
And I thought he was talking about Jim Harbaugh, and I was looking through every article, every news outlet that I could find, and I couldn't find anything on it. And I was like, where the hell are you finding this information? And he's like, it's on ESPN. So I put on ESPN, and I couldn't find anything there. They didn't say a word about it. And I'm like, and so I finally see my uncle later that day. I'm like, where the hell are you getting this information? Because I'm not seeing a goddamn thing about it. And he shows me the article, and it's about Jimbo Fisher. And I was like, you... I was angry. I was angry because I thought he was talking about Jim Harbaugh the entire time. It's going to be burning a hole in Texas A&M's pocket. Their program's probably going to be taking a nosedive after this. I mean, as if they haven't already at this point.
$75 million is what 75. The boosters are putting up.
Yep.
To get him out of there. They're just Texas A&M is
and IU can't put up 20 to get rid of Tom Allen.
But here's my thing with firing Tom Allen. Who are they going to hire?
I don't care. Anyone else. Anyone else.
What, are they going to hire Jimbo Fisher?
Great.
They're not going to hire. Someone else is going to hire Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher not going to
Bring him in. Give him a 1-year deal. See what he can do.
Honestly, I would love to have Jimbo Fisher as the coach at IU. Like Jimbo Fisher
is from Texas A&M.
Okay.
It goes up to Bloomington, Indiana.
So Jimbo Fisher won a national title at Florida State, and then was kind of mid at Florida State. But like the potential's there. I would kill to have Jimbo Fisher as the coach at IU. I think LSU's going to beat A&M.
Yeah, give me LSU.
All right, this is my favorite game on the list. This is my favorite game on the list. By far my favorite game on the list. Because this is just the epitome of making or breaking your season based on one game. Hold on, I got to find a spread for this game.
What game is it?
The game is UConn at UMass. You could go to this game for as low as $10. 1-9 UConn.
1-9 UConn.
3-7 UMass.
And 2 of their wins just came from these past 2 weeks against Army and Merrimack.
They're at Liberty.
Their last game that they won was against New Mexico State all the way back in week 1.
Actually, that was week 0. That was the week before week 1.
Very. I can see why you wanted to pick this
my
game.
favorite game.
Do you want to pick first?
I mean, UMass has the better record and they're at home.
Yeah.
So if I had to make a pick, I would take UMass.
I think I'm going to do it too. I thought about flipping a coin again, but I'm just like...
You're not going to make this game interesting?
Why would I go with a 1-win UConn for this game?
I wanted you to differ just so I could have a reason to watch this game.
All right. Heads, I take UConn. Tails, I take UMass. Siri. Hey, Siri. Flip a coin. It's heads.
So you're taking...
It's like I'm taking UConn.
Let's go. I'm gonna... If I end up winning...
If UConn pulls this off...
No, if I end up winning this by 1 game... And it's because UMass.
It's because of the UConn game. I'm gonna lose
and
my
it's because UConn beat UMass. Are we not? We're not counting conference championship games in this. It's just regular season. I say.
Yeah, I'd say regular
Unless
season.
we tie. If we tie, then we gotta do one more week.
Okay. Yeah.
Vandy,
I mean, we could do the playoff and then do the national championship if you want. But
we could have a. Nah. Here's what I think. We'll have. This is for the regular season. Then we can do like a bowl thing.
Okay.
Tennessee is playing Vandy. I mean, Vandy can't even build their own stadium, let alone build a team.
Yeah.
Give me Tennessee.
Gotta go Tennessee with this one.
Illinois and Northwestern. Illinois isn't home. They play for the Abe Lincoln Trophy. Something. They'll land a Lincoln Trophy.
I think so. Yeah.
Big game. Two schools that don't like each other.
Both very mid teams. Illinois is pretty bad. I mean,
The Big Ten West football, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Northwestern with this one.
Okay, I will take Illinois.
I never thought the day that would come that I'd pick Northwestern to win a football game, but here we are.
Nah, they've actually had a decent year.
They've been pretty good this year. Not bad.
In terms of, here's the thing.
Going from last year to this year, it's amazing.
Seasons are based on expectations for every team. Like, Georgia expects to go undefeated and win the national title. Northwestern was expected to win 1 game. You could make the argument Northwestern as, and if that's how you're defining a season, which is how I define a season, you could make the argument Northwestern's had one of the best seasons of college football. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that they're even still alive for a bowl after how bad they were last year and all the shit that went down in the offseason, good for Northwestern, but I think Illinois is going to win. Wisconsin at Minnesota. 2 more schools that really don't like each other. Minnesota's just not been good.
Yeah, Minnesota
I
hasn't
know,
been great, but I mean, Wisconsin's dropped 3 games against Northwestern and Indiana, so I mean, it's
Minnesota gets it at home. I'm looking at the wrong week.
God. This game, I think Wisconsin might be favored by a little bit, possibly.
We don't have spreads yet, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's fair.
What's Minnesota? Minnesota's 5 they're both 5-5. I'm gonna take Minnesota because they're at home.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Well, or should we just go all out and go crazy with rivalry week and we each just pick?
You're taking Wisconsin?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
All right. James
They're
Madison.
both 5-5, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
James Madison at Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is normally a pretty good team. I don't know what their record is this year. I don't really know what they had that one really good year. They had like 2 really good years. They're 7-3.
Coastal Carolina's on a good run, though. I mean, they're going up against Army this weekend, and then they've got James Madison, the undefeated team. So, I mean...
If you think I'm picking against James Madison, though, you're crazy.
Yeah, I'll go James Madison with this one.
All right. And then we got possibly the last ever Apple Cup between Washington State, Washington. There was a video from like a while back. They were asking Washington State fans, so like, would you rather like go undefeated or beat Washington? And they were like, I'd rather beat Washington than have like one loss and have it beat a Washington. They were all like, it was like live for 5 more years or win an Apple Cup. They're like, win the Apple Cup. That's what they all were saying. So this means so much to Washington State, but they're on the road and they're just not good enough.
Yeah, give me Washington.
This also applies to the Civil War, which is Oregon State. Actually, I think they changed it because it's offensive to call it the Civil War, but that's what I'm still going to call it. For those 2 rivalries, Oregon State, Washington State, even though since y'all are dipping to the Big Ten and leaving your little brother out to dry, please keep playing your rivalry game. Just, like, come on. Grow some balls, play your rivalry game. I hate it when schools do that. They just don't play their biggest rival. That also applies to Oklahoma State. Play your rivalry games. Because that's what college football is all about. That's why I was pissed when Texas A&M wouldn't play Texas, which I'm glad we're getting that rivalry back, by the way. Mm-hmm. That's the best part about Texas going to the SEC is that we're getting that rivalry back. All right, this was almost one of the featured games. I didn't put this as one of the featured games, but Florida State at Florida. Picking the Gators is, I think, the trendy kind of pick. I don't know, though. I really don't know. Because here's the thing. I think Florida State's bound to slip up. They've just been having way too many close games for comfort. And this is another one of those where for Florida, it could make their season, like, entirely. They're 5-5. They're going to be fighting for a... But, like, at the same time, though, it's a 10-0 team against a 5-5 team. Like, I'm hyping up Florida so much, but, like, are they really going to win, though? You never know you don't know what Florida team you're going to get. You're going to get the team that completely embarrassed Tennessee.
Is it at the Swamp?
It is at the Swamp.
Okay.
You could get the team that completely embarrassed Tennessee or the team that lost to Arkansas at home.
I think I got to go with Florida State. I mean, there's just too much riding on their season. They're not going to let it slip now in the rivalry game. So I think I got to go with Florida State. I mean, I had them winning out the rest of the season anyway, so I got to go with them.
Ah, man. I'm going to agree. Because, like, here's the thing. You don't know what Florida team shows up. But even if the good Florida team shows up, you still don't know if they're going to win that game.
Yeah.
I got to take Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame at Stanford. I think we're both going to take Notre Dame.
Yeah. Give me Notre Dame.
And then Georgia at Georgia Tech. This has not even become a rivalry in the past few years that Georgia Tech has just been so putrid. Georgia will probably win by 1 million. All right. 2 featured games. Now, the first one kind of depends on the result of the previous week. Oregon at Oregon State. Possibly the last ever Civil War. If Oregon State beats Washington, then this game is to decide who goes to the Pac-12 title. Oregon State beat them last year. Last year, Oregon had a chance to go to the Pac-12 title and lost to Oregon State on the road. Oregon State came back from down like 21. It was a great game.
Mm-hmm.
So, do they do it again to Oregon?
They're both really good teams, and obviously with the rivalry aspect of it, they're both going to be at the top of their game. So, I mean...
Here's my thing with Oregon. I'm not going to say that I'm going to pick against Oregon yet. I'll let Jackson go first.
Okay.
Every year, Oregon loses a game like this. Every year, they do really well throughout like the whole year. They'll be ranked near the top 10, top 5. And then near the end of the year, they just lose a game they're not supposed to. Like, it's happened multiple years now. They've lost to Utah. They've lost to Arizona State. They've lost to Arizona. They've lost to multiple teams they're not supposed to lose to.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go with Oregon, again, for the sole purpose of the fact that I have Oregon in my top 4 in the college football playoff, so I would probably have to go with them, I'd say.
So there actually is a spread, and it's Oregon 11.5.
Damn.
That's just not enough points for me to take Oregon State. I'm going to take Oregon. They are at home. If this was at Oregon State, I'm slam dunk. I'm taking the Beavers, but I'm going to take Oregon because they also have a lot riding in this game. But that's going to be a really good game. I'm excited to watch that game. Okay. The game we have been hyping up for pretty much the whole year. Like, since week 1, we've been hyping up this matchup.
There we go.
We know the stakes. We know both teams are going to be undefeated. If Georgia loses to Tennessee, this is going to be a matchup of 1 versus 2.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State at Michigan.
At the Big House.
Tickets as low as $499. This is going to be the best game of the year. Like, regardless of who makes the playoff or whatever, regardless of who makes the playoff, this is going to be the best game of the year.
Yeah, definitely. It's, you know how I feel. I'll let you.
Here's what I think we can do. Let's go by position. Quarterback. They're both pretty, like, I'm gonna take McCarthy, but I don't think that the gap.
I think it's McCarthy in convincing fashion.
I don't think
McCord
the gap
has
is
not impressed me at all this year.
To be honest, neither has JJ McCarthy for me particularly, though. The reason I think JJ McCarthy's better is he can actually somewhat go out and win you a game. Like he did against.
That's exactly why I think, because
he did it like last year. Like, here's the thing: I think McCarthy's better. I don't think he is leaps and bounds better.
Okay.
McCord's had a whole season under his belt. He knows what he's doing now, for the most part. I would say running back. I think running back's a draw. Travion Henderson is a goon, but Blake Corum and Edwards are.
Travion Henderson's really good. Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's a draw.
I mean, obviously, I'm very biased. I want to say that Michigan is better because we've got a little bit more depth with Corum and why am I blanking on his name?
Donovan Edwards. I think Donovan Edwards is actually better than Corum. I think if they gave Donovan Edwards the majority of the carries.
I feel like Donovan hasn't been as good this year, though, is the thing. Yeah. I feel like he hasn't been anywhere near as good as he was last year. But at the same time, he basically won us that game against Ohio State. So I have full faith in him, especially at home.
Receivers. I got to take Ohio State. Marvin Harrison Jr. is crazy.
I think I agree with you on... Well, okay. I agree with you in terms of Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the best player in the country.
Yeah.
And he's very, very, very,
They also have Ibuka, but he's kind of been a little underwhelming this year.
But in terms of, like, depth, I think we have a little bit more depth. But, again, in terms of, like, overall efficiency, I would probably have to say Ohio State.
All right.
Just because of Marvin Harrison Jr.
O-line... Or tight end's a draw. I don't know if either one of these teams is like a really good tight end.
Yeah.
O-line, Michigan has some dogs on their O-line. Their O-line is just like, when they played Penn State, it was just, their O-line is just bigger than everyone.
I mean, the whole purpose of us running that second half, I know you thought it was boring and everything, but literally the whole process of thinking was just like, we're just going to keep running the ball and exhausting their D-line until we can just run all over them.
But here's the thing, though. D-line... I'm taking Ohio State. Ohio State's D-line versus Michigan's O-line is going to be a battle to watch because Ohio State always has studs on the D-line.
Oh, yeah.
D-line, I think Ohio State's better. Linebackers, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Probably a draw. Secondary, I think Michigan's better. I think Michigan's better in the secondary just because Ohio State's secondary has kind of been suspect the last kind of few years. They got cooked last year. Bottom line, here's what I'm going to say. You could go position by position, whatever. On paper, I think Michigan's slightly better team-wise, and they get the game at home. I don't give a damn. Ohio State is going to win this game. I think they're going to win this game because this is the game ever. It's the biggest game. They have been wanting to take it to Michigan for weeks now. They are so motivated, so ready. and I think they beat Michigan. I think it'll be a great game. I'm going to say 24-21, they win on a game-winning field goal. I think Ohio State comes in, they win in the Big House.
Okay. I mean, you know exactly how I feel in this game. Obviously, I'm biased. You know I'm taking Michigan with this whole thing. I think the home field advantage is going to be a big factor. Obviously, it was a big factor last year, but it ended up not really mattering for Ohio State, But I just, with everything that you're gonna groan when I say it, obviously, and you have a right to. But I feel like with everything that Michigan has gone through this season, with Harbaugh's first suspension and now his second suspension, it just, the players themselves, I'm not talking at all about the coaching staff. I'm just talking about the players on the field. They have a drive. They are motivated to just prove everybody wrong in this game. They want to win it for Harbaugh. They love him. They respect him. Nobody else in the country does. And again, I mean, probably for good reason, perhaps, Again, I'm not at all speaking on the coaching staffs. I'm just saying in terms of the players on the field themselves, I think Michigan has much more of a chip on their shoulder with this game to prove to people that they can play. They were able to prove it against Penn State, but even then, people are still trying to kind of belittle them a little bit, saying like, "Oh, it wasn't as big of a win as people are thinking."
It was a good win.
It was a good win. It was a good win.
But also, you cannot run the ball 50 times and beat Ohio State.
Obviously, I don't think they're going to do that.
The way they did against Penn State,
I don't think they're going to do that. Against Ohio State last year, we pulled out a lot of pass games. That's how we beat them last year. It was like we were battling it on the ground, but then we had to go to the air to beat them. And so I think that's going to be a similar thing that happens this year. And I mean, really, the only thing that I got to say left for that, thank you for the win.
Thank you for the gift. Oh my God.
I don't like getting cocky, but I just fuck it for this game one. Because why not? What else does Michigan have to lose this season? So
you're gonna go to the game?
Thank you for the win. No. I can't afford to go to the game.
$500 tickets. You're not biting on those.
Oh man, if I won them in a lottery, then yeah.
If I was a diehard Michigan fan, I'd be tempted, but nah. I'll take my $19 IU Purdue tickets.
Yeah. I'll do that.
Thank you for this has been a great college football regular season. 2-week break until you see us again when we'll be talking conference championship games. Take care, everybody.